It's another one of those old Frank Monday productions coming at ya. Begin in the universal stance. Stretch the lower back. Relaxing and loosening the lower back is especially important for drivers, as this is where the focal point of most of the stress occurs. Relax deeply. Big inhale, exhale, and relax. Allow the arms to loosen and shake. Feel where all of the tension is located and relax. Reach low towards the ground, breathing deeply and rhythmically, feeling for areas of stress and tension that have been accumulated from your driving experience. Next, we move on to an exercise of great value called pounding the drum. My Kung Fu teacher from my early years would use the analogy of the small toy drum that Chinese and Oriental children play with in their youth. Many of you have probably seen it. It's a drum on a stick with two beads suspended from strings at either side. You rotate it and the beads pound the drum. This is exactly the same exercise with the human body and the torso being the drum. This exercise alone revitalizes the health and has innumerable benefits. The arms are like strings, the fists are like the beads at the end, and you simply twist the spine as it were the stick, back and forth, back and forth. Next up, we have tapping the head, similar to tapping the drum, but here we are awakening the brain. You rotate the hands back and forth, gently tapping the cranial cavity, inhaling to the right and exhaling to the left. 7 to 10 taps are sufficient. 7 to 10 rotations of tapping the cranium are sufficient to awaken the brain and stimulate relaxation and intellect. This one is especially useful for office workers and people who focus excessively with their eyes. Next up, we have the exercise which is called hummingbirds. In this particular exercise, it is important to keep the wrists stable. You are not moving the wrist back and forth in so much as you are just opening and closing the hands directly. This one is especially good for people who use their hands a lot throughout the workday. For example, typists will benefit greatly from this exercise. Typically it is done in 4 sections, 50 rotations in front, 50 repetitions above the head, 50 repetitions out to the sides, and the most grueling of the 4 is 50 repetitions with the palms facing upward. If you think your grip strength is superior, I laud this one. Just feel all of the tendons relaxing and strengthening in turn, gripping and releasing. This exercise alone can ensure your longevity. Don't give up. 200 repetitions in total. Shaking out the hands to relax near the end. Next up, we have a series of rotations, beginning with the waist. This loosens the torso and trunk. Again, an especially useful focus for people that spend excessive amount of hours driving. the back bend, do not neglect to look all the way back as far as you can, rotating around a horizontal plane, focusing through the hands. 5 repetitions to the right, 5 repetitions to the left. Don't go overboard on this one. Next is loosening the waist. Typically 20 to 25 rotations to the right and 20 to 25 to the left are sufficient to loosen up the waist. Some people find this one quite amusing and invigorating of the entire spinal column, keeping your hips in good health. Next up are the knees, dipping down low into the rotating postures. 5 to the left, 5 to the right, with the knees in the closed position. Here, opening the knees and rotating inward, 5, and outward, 5. Next up is one that's a bit more challenging for your stability and balance. The crane plays with its leg. Standing on one leg and holding the knee, point the toe and rotate 5 in one direction, 5 in the other. Here, from a side view, the opposite hand goes behind the back to stabilize the posture. Toes should be pointed, rotating 5 in one direction, 5 in the other. Don't fail to shake out each leg after the exercise. Here, we transition directly into the toe rotation, 5 in one direction, 5 in the other. Another exercise that can challenge one's balance and stability. Up and down, 5 additional. The opposite leg, toe out, rotate 5 and 5. Don't neglect to do the 5 up and down, really challenging the tendons and strengthening the entire leg. As an added bonus, we can do a similar exercise of rotation from the hip, 5 to the left, 5 to the right, trying to point the entire leg, reminiscent of a ballerina. This one, quite challenging. Again, don't overdo it. Finally, the last exercise, geared at the stretching and strengthening of the legs, is crane extensions. The hand goes on the outside of the foot and is placed on the inside of the knee and thigh. Test your balance, extend the leg outward in a crescent kick, a good stretch to the primary tendons of the leg. Excellent. Now we make our way up the torso to the shoulders. 5 to the rear, 5 to the front, and 5 oscillating rotations in both directions, keeping the hands stable below waist level. Now we move on to the elbows. This secret, often overlooked rotation should actually entail 50 rotations in both directions. I do it here only for a brief demo. Typically not taught outside the internal schools, as its power in developing the back fist capability is extreme. Now we move on to a series of exercises that focus on the shoulder and the shoulder joint. This one is especially useful for anyone who has ever had shoulder trouble, rotating both directions and then oscillating simultaneously. Here again, the front view. Reverse and the other arm. Moving up the body tree and ending with the wrist. This is very easy to do, simple rotations of the wrist, 5 in either direction. Afterwards, pulling the hand down and stretching out the tendons. Then pulling the elbow back and getting a good whiff of the underarm. Again, 5 and 5. Hand goes upside down, pulling and stretching. Do not neglect the thumb. And then the elbow pulled back. Whew. Careful with those pits. We end this series of rotating and stretching with the neck, one of vital importance. Take this one slow as not to injure yourself. 5 in one direction, full range of rotation. 5 in the opposite direction, again focusing on a full range of articulation of the neck. Finally, you should end this set with a little bit of pressure. Be gentle with this one, and 3 simple rotations, pulling down, really stretching the tendons of the back and the neck. Excellent one for people with insomnia to relax and get to sleep easily. Take a moment to rub the face, stimulate the scalp, and you're done. Finally, to end off the whole set is a special bonus, the kidney stretch exercise. Again, people who sit for extended periods of time at office work or in a car, as a Lyft or Uber driver might, will experience a great deal of low back pain. This one really stretches out the kidney housing and the lower lumbar. Finally, finish this with knife hands across the kidney for additional good health and stimulation. Inhaling down, exhaling up. Inhale, exhale. Do not neglect to tap the feet. Thank you for watching Lunar Light Entertainment. Have a nice day.